This morning, we are learning new details about Sean Combs' sentencing tomorrow. In court documents, Combs' lawyers say that he wants to address the judge before he is sentenced. The presiding judge has also granted the defense team's request for Combs to wear street clothes. Let's bring in CNN legal analyst and defense attorney Joey Jackson, wearing his best steel blue suit, looking sharp this morning as always. Speaking of wearing clothes, he's saying, look, the judge says, yes, you can wear your street clothes. Does that tell us anything about what the judge may decide in this sentence?
So, Sarah, good morning to you. It does not, but it does say that the judge certainly wants to be fair and humane. Now, understanding there's a distinction between wearing a jumpsuit before a jury who has to make a determination as to your case and wearing it before a judge who, I mean, I think a judge can be fair no matter what you're wearing, but I think it's only proper and appropriate on a day like this, which is very solemn. You're going to hear victim impact statements. You're going to hear from him, as you just noted, that he wear a suit and he present to the judge what he believes to be appropriate in terms of what he wants to say.
Is there anything in cases like this, he's got these prostitution charges that he's been convicted of, is there anything that you have seen that a defendant can say to help their case, to mitigate the amount of time that a judge gives them?
So the answer is absolutely. And on the case like this, you want to do a few things. The first thing is you want to be contrite. There's something called remorse. You have to own up to the fact that there are people who were impacted by your conduct. And here specifically, because of this conviction, there are two particular victims. You can argue there are many more, but certainly there is Cassie Ventura, and then there's a pseudonym Jane. He was convicted of the counts transportation to engage in prostitution across state lines. You want to acknowledge that and be contrite in that. The other thing related is you want to be accountable. It's not about this one, that one, the other one. No, it's about me. It's about you as a defendant and what you want to say and you owning up to what you were convicted of. And I think the last thing is the judge wants to know, are you sufficiently rehabilitated, right? What are you, and what have you done in jail? How have you spent your time? And how do you intend to spend your time moving forward such that you can be a better person and you could live a life that you think leads up to what society really should be about. So I think that's what we'll hear.
You had mentioned Cassie Ventura, which we know that's his former girlfriend, who really came out very strongly in court, and she's going to have a victim impact statement calling Combs an abuser who she says has no interest in changing. How much weight does the judge put on those who have been impacted in this case in such a difficult way?
So, Sarah, I think a lot, right? The bottom line is that she has a story to tell. Now, she told that story to the jury, and the jury convicted not as to racketeering, which would have carried life, right, that he was running a criminal enterprise, not as to even the sex trafficking charges, but as to this charge. And as a result, she'll have a lot to say about it. Having said that, we should keep in mind that there are sentencing guidelines. Guidelines exist. They're not mandatory for the judge to follow, but you want uniformity with respect to sentencing. So the Sentencing Commission has come up with these guidelines that consider what were you convicted of and what's your criminal history. Judge not bound by them, but the judge is going to be using them. Ironically, very briefly, you've got them all over the place. You have the defense that wants 14 months, saying the guidelines are appropriate for 14 months. You have U.S. probation wanting as much as 7 years. You have prosecutors wanting 11 years. Now, you may ask me, what happened to the guidelines? They exist, but the manner in which you interpret them varies. So it'll be up to the judge to make that determination. What, of course, Cassie Ventura and the other victim impact statements say has a lot to do with what the judge eventually, I think, will met out here.
Let me ask you about, you've got these big differences in the sentencing, and his jail time already counts towards some of this. Where do you see this going? Do we know what the actual maximum is in this case?
So I think the max, Sarah, will be what the prosecution is looking for, even though Mann Act is 10 and 10. We hear 20 years. The max, I think, will be 11. I think that's way out of kilter, though. I think more appropriate would be what the case is about. There's a big argument very quickly about whether you can use acquitted conduct. He was acquitted of racketeering. Why are we using it? He was acquitted of this other, the sex trafficking. And the guidelines basically say that you no longer can use that acquitted conduct. So where are we fitting it in? Prosecutors are saying, well, it goes to his nature, it goes to his criminal history, it goes to his background. And the defense is saying, this trial was about what it was about. He was convicted of these two charges. Let's sentence on that and nothing else. Where the judge lies on that issue, whether he limits it to what he was convicted of or brings everything else in, is going to be where the sentence falls.
Really interesting. Joey Jackson, thank you so much. Appreciate it. It's good to see you.
Great to see you,
John.